The process of becoming a man, ceremony or not, does not happen in a single moment. But rites of passage are important for when a boy should start thinking of himself as a man, when he should start carrying himself as a man, and when the community should start respecting him as a man, and when he should start taking on the responsibilities of a man. Many cultures have ceremonial rites of passage for manhood, and they feel that lacking these markers, young men overstay their childhood and never sure of when they've really manned up. Today, most cultures in developed countries do not have ceremonies for boys into manhood. However, most boys that lack these clear markers on their journey to becoming a man will all have a variety of answers when asked when the transition occurs and when they can call themselves a man. There are still many cultures, especially tribes, which do have ceremonial rites of passage. After reading an article on the site artofmanliness.com, I found some interesting and bizarre coming-of-age ceremonies that have previously existed and some that are still practiced around the world today. While they can be quite offensive to our modern Western societies, each was born of different cultures' beliefs of what made a man a man. In Vanuatu, a small island in the middle of the South Pacific, the men take place in a yearly harvest ritual called land diving. Land diving among the Vanuatus dates back nearly 15 centuries. There are two purposes of the ritual. One is to sacrifice their gods to guarantee a bountiful yam crop. And two, it's the tribe's rite of passage of boys into manhood. Boys as young as 5 will engage in the rituals. When it is done, it is often preceded by circumcision. The boys start jumping low, but the higher one goes, the manlier he is considered by the tribe. The people of the tribe build a makeshift tower made of wood, reaching heights of over 100 feet sometimes. They will then tie a vine to the platform and then around their ankles, using the courage, all that they have, to dive head first and plummet to the ground. The goal is to land close enough to the ground that the diver's shoulders touch the ground, but any miscalculations on the length of the vine can be fatal. Now, if you're a male living in the Ethiopian tribe of Hamar, to become a man, you'll have to jump over a herd of cattle. And not only do men have to participate, women are required to as well, or young girls. The young girls take on lashings until blood is drawn, leaving them with scars that show they endured pain for the initiate during the passage into manhood. After the whipping ceremony of the young women, the tribe forms a circle around a herd of cattle and begins to sing and chant. They gather around 4 of the biggest bulls and line them up side to side. The man-to-be is brought to the cattle and must jump onto the first bull and run back and forth their backs 3 times. When he is done, a shout is given and the boy is a maza, or a man. Native American tribes had their own unique coming-of-age ritual from tribe to tribe. But the Mandans topped the totem pole with the most intense. The Mandan boy would fast for 3 days prior to the ceremony to cleanse his body of waste and impurities. On the day of the ritual, the elders would pierce his chest, shoulders, and back muscles with large wooden splints and attach ropes that hung from the roof to the splints. Then he would be suspended by the ropes, and splints would be by the whole weight of his body. While hanging in air, more splints were hammered through his arms, legs, and skulls of the dead ancestors were placed on the end of the splints. The boy was not allowed to cry despite all the pain he was enduring. Once the elders saw he was unconscious from the loss of blood and sheer pain, he was lowered by the splints, but the splints were not removed. After the boy woke, he then sacrificed his pinky and then ran around a circle made by the villagers while they grabbed out the splints, ripping them from the opposite direction what they were inserted. At the day's end, the boy was now a man. Lucky for us, Americans do not have brutal or bizarre ways of confirming one is a man. Many rituals still do exist and are practiced in our culture. Some of the few rites of passage still recognized occur within religious organizations. Whether a young man is confirmed into the Catholic Church, baptized, or celebrates his bar mitzvah, they are still a form of ceremony and recognition into their manhood. Once thought to end in a man's 20s at the latest, men are extending their adolescence into their 30s, and in some sad cases, all the way in their 40s. But in most cases, it's not their fault, but more the fault of the culture. While most every culture has a coming-of-age ritual, there's a great diversity in what these ceremonies were. All had something in common: an experience that required a boy to pass the test as manhood, to show courage, endurance, and the ability to control one's emotions.